Hey folks, welcome back to my channel, Relationship Haven. In today's story, OP found out his wife was cheating on him after he saw his wife's affair partner do something absolutely shocking right in front of him after his wife had invited the affair partner over to watch a movie with them. In today's second story, OP's soon-to-be ex is trying to get the police involved after OP kicked her out and she refused to leave the house. OP then had to force her out by using physical force. Now he needs advice on how to proceed since his wife has a chance of getting him in trouble over a situation she instigated. Let's get into the stories to find out what happened. I just found out about this sub as a suggestion from a comment over in Reddit Relationship Advice and figured I'd tell my story here. Thank you all in advance for reading if you do. Around November of 2020, my then wife started hanging out with a guy that she knew from before but had little contact with while we were dating. One night, we were watching a movie while he was over hanging out, and I saw he was softly scratching her back slowly back and forth. I told him to stop, then got up and left the house before I exploded in anger. She came out and, long story short, told me that I was overreacting and that if I asked him to leave, she would go with him. Now, I remember being shocked that she would make that decision and wrote it off as her anger getting the better part of her. The guy, let's call him Al, was going through a rough divorce and my wife talked me into letting him stay on the couch so he didn't have to live with his ex-wife. He was emotionally unstable and depressed, so sometimes she would sleep in the same room and sometimes on the same futon as him. I was not okay with this, but she assured me nothing was happening, and I trusted her. Fast forward a few months, and she helped Al get a new apartment after his divorce was finalized. I'm supportive of her having other friends because she's a stay-at-home mom of a 5-year-old that was from a previous relationship before us. One night, they both got drunk and had sex. Then again, a few weeks to a month later, he tells her to either have sex with him again or he will tell me that they had sex. At this time, I had my suspicions about what was going on, and I asked her straight up, but she either lied to me or made me feel bad about not trusting her. She eventually broke things off. Fast forward to May, and I found out she has Tinder on her phone. I asked her what was up, and she said it was just to find friends since she is cooped up in the house alone all the time. I told her that Tinder isn't the right place for that, but again, I'm supportive of her making friends. As far as I know, she had 2 guys over during this time. One while I was at work who just came by to take a shower after work and head off to a party so we didn't have to drive home. And another who she invited over while I was there and cuddled with on the couch. When I said I wasn't comfortable with her doing that, she basically told me to get over it because she wasn't doing anything wrong. Now, fast forward to June, she meets a guy, let's call him Cal, and starts talking with him. She also brings up that we should open up our relationship and go poly, to which I said no way. She still decided to start spending alone time with him and eventually gives oral once in our house. Later she told me that she did so out of fear and to just get him out of the house, but she continues talking with him after. He breaks it off with her and blocks her. It is at this point when the guilt finally brings her to tell me about cheating on me with both Al and Cal. She only tells me about the first time with Al and says that her and Cal did it in a hotel. I didn't trust her anymore because of all the other red flags and lies about not cheating when I asked previously, but I forgave the cheating. She then started to become cold to me, not wanting to hang out or do anything together, not wanting to work on us or go to marriage counseling, which I suggested. She started sleeping up in her daughter's room, and we were effectively separated for months. No sex, no kissing, not even hugging while she works on getting herself better so we can be better. Fast forward to November. She ends up going to hang out with an old friend that she knew before me and had been talking to a lot more recently in Hawaii for a week over Thanksgiving. She told me about it beforehand and that he paid for the whole trip. That was suspicious to me, but I had promised to give her another chance. She went down there and came back pregnant. At this point, I'm not even upset anymore. I know it's over, and I'm gearing up to go through the divorce. She was all for getting divorced at first, but changed her tune to wanting to work it out once the baby daddy started saying he didn't want anything to do with the baby and she should get an abortion. However, I'm out. I'm done, and that was the last straw. I'm kind of glad that I was right in thinking that she would cheat again and that I would be able to finally be done with all this. I have no more moral obligation to be an understanding, patient, and forgiving husband anymore. I know a lot of you at this point are wondering why I stuck through it for so long, why I gave her so many chances and was so forgiving. It's because she has had a really hard life up to this point. She has a bunch of diagnosed mental issues due to a bad childhood. Like, think of the worst possible childhood you can imagine, and you're probably close. She sees sex differently than normal people. To her, it doesn't have the emotional connections that it has for normal people. I was focused on being the best husband to her that I could be. That was the focus of my whole life. Be the best husband I could be and the best father figure for her daughter. Patient, understanding, and forgiving with all her issues. I was going to turn her and her daughter's life around and fix everything. I was going to work my butt off so she can do whatever she wanted to do with her life career-wise, and so her daughter could go to college, providing everything by myself and turning their lives around completely. That's what I got out of it. At least that's what I told myself. Now I'm just glad it'll be over soon, and I can stop giving so much. I don't know if in the end I'm doing the right thing by leaving her, but I know that I can't go on anymore. My goodness, OP, you let this woman run all over you. What were you thinking? It took your wife getting pregnant after cheating on you with multiple different men to finally realize it was time to divorce her? It seems that you are a fixer. Unfortunately, some people are beyond fixing, or more accurately, you can't fix people. They have to fix themselves. They must recognize their issues and want to do the work to heal themselves. I hope you have consulted with a good lawyer so that you will not be saddled with child support for the next 18 years. I also recommend therapy so that you can heal and learn how to get rid of this mentality that you need to save them from their issues and be a hero for them. Good luck, OP. Now, let's get into today's second story. So Friday, 10 days ago, me and my soon-to-be ex-wife got into an argument. She moved out to her mom's place at the end of June, but we own our house together. She, of course, still has her keys, and she comes around every once in a while to see the kids, get some of her stuff, and so on. When I went on a trip, she stayed here, and I have also stayed with friends a couple of weekends, so she could stay at home with the kids. That Friday, she came over and we had an argument. It got heated, and I asked her to leave multiple times. She refused to leave and wanted to talk. So I went to my office and was going to lock the door, but she stood in the doorway. Now, keep in mind, I am big and tall, but also that I have PTSD from her cheating, and I felt cornered, and she refused to leave when I verbally asked her to, probably about 15 times. I wanted her gone, so I pushed her. I don't want to make excuses for myself, but I think it is a fight or flight response from PTSD. I am not afraid of this woman in a logical sense, but I felt cornered. I did push her hard, but not nearly as hard as I could have. The force should have pushed her back one step and made her put one foot back to catch her balance. But instead, she crumpled like a sack of potatoes and fell with her lower back on the doorknob. It is a fancy handle with a pointy end, so it really hurts. She then laid there screaming in pain in a very exaggerated manner, and it just made me want her out of the house more, so I grabbed her wrists and started pulling her towards the front door. I know this is not by any means okay for me, but I am not thinking logically here. I felt like my fight or flight response was in charge. Turns out she called a women's shelter, claimed I hit her, kicked her, pulled her hair, and threw her out of the house, giving no backstory whatsoever. So, of course, the women's shelter directed her to the hospital where she gets checked out and talks to a social worker and a police officer. That police officer just called me this morning to get my side of the story. You can imagine how panicked I felt. I am writing this 2 hours later, and I'm still shaking. I told him what happened. We talked for a while, and I hope that is the end of it. The only mark they could find on her was on her lower back from the doorknob, so according to him, she did not get an injury report done. I don't know how professional it was of him, but once I told him she cheated on me on and off for 13 years, he got a lot more empathetic towards me and assured me if I was telling the truth, there was nothing to worry about. I know how this sounds. I'm a man and a big, athletic, bearded, tattooed guy, and she is a beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed woman, so of course people will trust her. I never thought she would lie to the police about something like this. I don't get how someone could be so evil. I'm still shaking and I am sick to my stomach. I puked my breakfast after that phone call. I'm a professor, and if I get criminal charges against me, my career is over, and my soon-to-be ex-wife knows this. I would never get a teaching job again. OP, take a deep breath. Everything is going to be okay. You did nothing wrong here. Here's what you need to do. Do not ever be alone with her under any circumstance ever again, no matter what. Depending on your vehicle and home situation, set cameras up everywhere. This will be a long game, and you will copy and paste all communication via your lawyer. Set up a direct email address that will only deal with her correspondence once you serve her, and get communication advice from your lawyer, because that's the direction you're going. Keep your distance from her as much as possible. Next time she refuses to leave, instead of trying to physically force her out, just call the police instead so they can escort her. Best of luck, OP. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's stories. If there's a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Take care, everyone.